Well, even before we expected to be here, we're here. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live, an early afternoon for the West Indies, not batting out their 50 overs. Another team to do so in this tournament. But for England, it was a clinical performance from their bowlers. Their archer was on target. The question was, would Mark be fit? And he answered that. And of course, when we got to the root of the matter, it was a brilliant decision from Owen Morgan to bring in that part-time off-spinner and pick up a couple of wickets. All in all, the net result, 212 all out to Windies with 5 overs and 2 balls to spare. And that's been the story of the innings. Let's see what the experts have to think about it. Joy Bhattacharya, Robin Uthappa. Robin, we saw moments of resilience from the West Indies, 250 partnerships, but just when they got there, it seemed as if that fragility of the West Indies of old or in between a few years ago came back.
Well, when you saw them at 140, 150 for 3, you thought, okay, 145 for 3, you thought, okay, these guys are well on course to be at, what we were discussing at the comm box. We were saying that, at 35 overs, they're 180 for 3 or 4. They'd been in a good place, but they kind of just lost the plot there a little bit and then just went downhill for them. I think the loss of captain's wicket was very, very critical. Soft dismissal, quite unnecessary. That was a wide ball. One would think that he would have left that one under normal circumstances. Just came off a 6, maybe he was looking to rotate the strike, but that soft dismissal led to a lot of other things. And in that situation, when you have Andre Russell coming in, he plays only in one gear. One would think that Andre also could have been probably a little more circumspect, given that he knows that bowlers are going to come short at him, and if he can let those couple of bounces go, then he knows he's in the game for the rest of the 4 balls in every over from a fast bowler. So if he can duck those 2 short balls or play them off, he's always in business. So if he had that in mind, maybe he would have played differently. Maybe with his injury and something had happened while he was batting, maybe all of those things kind of occupied his mind more than how his plans perhaps. But Nicholas Purran, I thought, batted really well, very responsibly for us knowing how he actually bats under normal circumstances and how quickly he bats. Hasn't he batted out of his skins, honestly, because this is not his natural way of batting. 78 balls for 63 runs, 3 4s and 1 6. That means he rotated the strike a lot, which shows that he's got the temperament to probably play that role for the middle order for West Indies in the long run.
Yeah, we talked about Holder being the junior Shea Hope in a sense once Hope was gone. But yeah, that second wicket, I mean, you can give a part-timer 1 wicket. It was a surprise element almost. But a seam-up delivery from Joe Root.
Bizarre. Then he tried another seam-up and it went for a wide. But exactly that. I mean, see, the interesting thing about the England attack this time is the fact that both their established stars have delivered for them and their part-timers delivered for them. If you look at it that way, I mean, the job that Jofra Archer was out today, the 3 wickets that he took today, the hostility of the pace, just keeping the ball here, and there was one batsman who edged Purran got out in a brilliant delivery. I mean, there's not very much a batsman can do about it. Then again, the same way that he got Braithwaite out is just really high-quality bowling at one end. So Wood and Jofra Archer could come in and finish. Before that, the part-timers worked. So the entire England, Vokes kept it very tight up front. So the entire England bowling effort was, I thought, thoroughly professional. They walked into their plans a little bit. I mean, Andre Russell's delivery or the delivery that got Chris may have been unnecessary. But overall, you have to compliment the English bowlers in the way they stuck to their jobs.
Robin, you called it early.
Yeah,
Chris Vokes was the man to watch out for.
Absolutely.
And I think no matter what everyone else did, he sort of set the tone.
He did, absolutely. He made... he gets the ball to move just enough and he hits those lengths so consistently. And the way he got Evan Lewis out, 2 balls back of a length, hit the right lengths, exactly the same spot, 3rd ball, pitch it up. He didn't anticipate that. He thought he's going to go back of a length again, got him out. LB and bowled. That would have been LBW as well. One would think that the West Indies would show a little bit more responsibility, especially when the 2 last batsmen, you're batting with, say, Nicholas Purran, or he's just gotten out, but O'Shane Thomas didn't seem like he could not bat. He seemed like he could, hold himself together with the bat. Maybe at that point, if Carlos Braithwaite, just thought of farming the strike and making sure that West Indies batted through the 50 overs, they would have ended up with probably 25 runs more than what they have right now. And for all you know, in games such as these, that would be the difference, yeah.
Certainly could, because you'll have to talk about their bowling as well, given they've got some raw pace. Jofra, one of his dismissals was clocked at 152 plus. So that just shows he was almost warming up with his 140s and then he slipped that one in.
Yeah. So already one West Indian bowler has done very well today, and now we'll have to see what the rest of them, how the others do on the other side.
They've got a feeling of it. I mean, even though you batted for a few deliveries, they've got a feeling of it. And probably Thomas and Cottrell and Shannon Gabriel are thinking, okay, if they can do it, we can dish out some. I wish we had another 30 runs to play with, but they certainly won't feel they're out of it yet.
No, they wouldn't feel they're out of it. And the two injuries that has happened to the English team, that also, let's bring that into consideration, because clearly you are having a situation that Jason Roy can't open. He can't come in before 7. So it's a blow. It's not a terrible blow, because you have somebody as versatile as Jos Buttler who can bat almost anywhere there. He can finish for you. He can start for you. One of the natural thoughts was that he'd move up. But Owen Morgan as well. And, if you look at it, the important thing is trying to find out how bad is it, because if it's a question of just this match, they might say, we'll make our way through. But if it's, especially with Morgan, if it's something slightly more serious, then they wouldn't be very happy about that, because Morgan is a talisman for them. One is his just as a batsman, but also as a captain, he's been fantastic.
Let's just update all of you in case you're wondering where this conversation has gone and why England should be shuffling their batting order when they've been playing so well. It's because we saw early on, while Jason Roy was fielding, he limped off with a tight left hamstring. Didn't field for the rest of the innings, so if he has to bat, it can only be at 5 wickets down or below. That's the case with Jason Roy. Towards the end of the innings, Owen Morgan also went off. Possibly it's the finger injury that...
I don't know. It seemed like he'd done his knee, his leg as well. It looked like he had marks on his knee, and I think he died for that ball. So, or he had chased the ball, you never know. That could be an external injury, so that probably wouldn't. It probably just needs a little bit of attention in the dressing room. 20 minutes of icing probably should do the trick. But with Jason Roy's issue, we don't know if he just pulled his hamstring, if it's a grade 1 strain, grade 2 tear, grade 1 tear. It could be, these things could vary. And once we get the actual news of it, we'll understand how much time he'd probably take to recover from an injury of that sort. And having said that, I think that Buttler would either Buttler or
But that's the question.
Root could
Is
open.
it going to be Root or Buttler? Where would you go?
I would go more Root, because it just gives a little bit more depth in that batting order. I'd go Johnny Bairstow and Joe Root to open. Jos Buttler maybe. Chris Wokes can also come up and bat, because he's really good as a batsman as well. So I don't think they have too many issues, but they moving forward into the tournament, depending on the severity of Jason Roy's injury, they would like. I would love to see when England play next, so that one gets an understanding of how much time he's got to recover from that, because he'd be a very important cog in the wheel for England in the back end of the tournament, which they would definitely need.
Yeah, we'll show you the schedule very shortly of England's matches, but just to stay on this for a while, are you also happy with England going with Root vis-a-vis Buttler?
I think it's...
Because we've just checked their stats, neither have opened officially in an ODI before.
Look, I think both of them can do the job. It's just a question of what they feel most comfortable doing. And if they've sort of told Buttler that there's a situation where you're likely to be the finisher all the time, then keep him in the finisher role. Don't confuse his mind. Don't just move the batting order one way up and maybe get Wokes in. If the couple of wickets falls, get in Wokes, because he's a very correct batsman.
Stokes as well.
Yeah.
Stokes can bat up the order.
Yep, Stokes, Wokes at some point. Jofra Archer, we know, has credentials later on. So they won't really worry about, especially with the runs on the board. But Robin was making a reference to how much of a gap do England have till their next game. Possible hamstring recovery for Jason Roy. Well, that's where they're playing today. They're playing on the 18th, which is on Tuesday.
But remember, 18th is Afghanistan. They'd probably tell themselves Afghanistan, Sri Lanka may not be their toughest opponents. If I have to, if there are two matches in which I have to lose, two players or rest them, you can't find better matches in Afghanistan, Sri Lanka in this draw right now.
The big one is Australia on the 25th.
So obviously they want to be ready for Australia, but it's just strange. If you look over the last week or so, this World Cup's been ridden with rain and injuries. It's like every other game, something or the other is happening. It's quite strange. It's the players, the rest of the contingents, I think within the World Cup, I think all of them be really concerned about how their teams are moving forward. I know the physios would be psyched out of this. They'd be really worried as to what's going on. Why is everyone getting injured?
Yep.
You know, must definitely have something to do with the weather as well, because it's cold out there. You know, you're not as warm as you think you are. You probably have certain routines that you follow, and then sometimes in this kind of conditions, irrespective of you being born or in that place, sometimes you realize that what you're doing is probably not enough for that day. You probably need to do a little bit more. So I think it's also time for all the athletes there playing the World Cup to be more cognizant about how they are about their body, you know, where they are, if they're actually warmed up, if they're ready to go, if they're not, how much, you know, in every game, after every game, there are micro tears, there are little issues, because there are only 6 days in an entire year an athlete plays injury free. Otherwise, he's always carrying some form of niggle or the other. So, you know, I think in times like this, in tournaments like this, athletes and players need to be more aware of that and more cognizant of making sure that they're 100% fit.
At least from England's point of view, I was going to actually ask cheekily if rain has any correlation with hamstrings. If that was the case, then everyone would be down with hammies at least this week. But given the fact that you've got, say, someone like a Mitchell Marsh flying out as a replacement, Rishabh Pant probably on a flight as well, at least for England, they know that if they have to look for replacements, it's just a drive away.
Yeah, it's just a drive away. They're probably playing county cricket. This county cricket is full swing right now. Of course, given the weather, not much of it, any cricket is in full swing, but they have players who are ready, who are playing, who are just a phone call away. It's not that difficult for them. So yeah, they have that advantage. And secondly, they have so much depth right now that they will do nothing stupid. They'll say, we're not going to bother about anything because we can call up anyone literally on the last minute. Let's not make any changes. We've got 2 relatively easy games. By easy games, I mean compared to the rest of the draw, these are the easier games coming up. Let's just see these through. If we can seal these 3, then, you know, we'll wait for Australia and then see what happens on that. Then 7, 10, 12 days is a long, long time. By the 25th is a long time.
Yeah, Jofra, of course, post the innings was asked and he said, look, there are a couple of players who are hurting, but everyone wants to be on the park. That's the feeling in the England dressing room. So that's what we feel with Owen Morgan and Jason Roy. Time comes, they will be out there batting. But in terms of the approach, England have been accustomed to scoring 300 plus totals. So now that they don't need to score 300 plus, what will their approach be, especially with a new batting order?
Well, I don't think it'll change, or, you know, one would think it shouldn't change because you know, they've played cricket in a certain way, so they must continue to play cricket in that fashion because that's the standard they've set for themselves. So I think they should go about playing the same way they have been, and I think they shouldn't make this too much of a big deal. I think if they can perceive it from a place of, okay, let's try and win this inside 40 overs so that our net run rate goes up. You know, it would probably give us an advantage given how much rain the World Cup is experiencing at this point in time. So they'd probably be thinking from that aspect. You know, TB would be someone who'd have that aspect in mind as well.
Yeah, and the West Indians obviously will be, that conversation in the dressing room would be, maybe we're 30, 40 short, but we can make up for it with the short stuff.
Absolutely short stuff, and they'll just have to tell themselves, the only way to win this match is we have to bowl them out. I mean, there's no way we can contain anyone with 212 on the board. Means early wickets, early inroads, and you have to keep attacking, and you will very likely, one of the things you might see is that if they think, say, that Brathwaite is their weak bowler, they might just bowl 40 overs straight of the top guys if they keep getting wickets and say that, you know, we don't...
Yeah, because England are not going to chase this in 48 or 49.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to get there, they're going to get there earlier than that.
For West Indies, it's only one way. Wickets, wickets, wickets. That's the name of the game for them in this innings. They need to come hard at these batsmen and try and get them out. That's all. That's the only thing that will win them this game.
And since they're the ones who have actually got out here, what are the lessons they'll take from England's bowlers? I mean, you mentioned how it was such a clever piece of bowling from Chris Woakes to get out Evan Lewis. Are there any of the other bowlers they can take lessons from? Have a look at the bowling card.
Well, I thought Mark would bowl exceptionally well as well. He's got the best economy rate today. Just even the way he bowled back of the length, predominantly back of the length. I think he bowled a lot of dot balls in those 6.4 overs, hit back of the length really hard, and the occasional short ball. He made sure that there was a short ball in every over. So if they can stay with their arounds, but at the same time stay with their strengths, and their strengths is bowling good, strong, hard balls, shoulder length or slightly below the shoulder, so that they can go with their plan. And I think they look to bowl quick and hard and fast. They're in this game, definitely.
Another important question, now that we saw the big man, Ray Russ, struggle with the knee, with the bat, are they going to risk him with any overs at all?
Possibility they may not. I think they'll see how the game goes.
I wasn't quite sure. Was it the knee? Was it his wrist? Because he's had issues with
He's had issue with the wrist, but he was definitely...
Because I saw him do that, which I've seen is the wrist when we were in KKR, but I don't know if it was the knee because he fell over on that shot. Maybe he landed wrongly on his wrist. It could be that. So if it's the wrist, I think he'll just strap it up and bowl 4
That
overs.
it would be. But if it's the knee, and we
If it's
did
the
see him
knee,
kind of hobble a bit.
He was hobbling when he was running between wickets. He was definitely hobbling. But knowing him,
If this is hurting, he could be hobbling as well.
He knows a thing or two about Andre Russell. That's what comes of spending time with that big man in the dressing room. But he's quite a character, and we know he's also a fighter. If the need arises, he'll be the first one to go to Jason Holder and say, knee or no knee, you need me. I'm sorry, it's not a time for bad puns here. I'm going to go straight to somebody else who occasionally comes up with a few bad puns. At the moment, he's making his way around England, and he's found something very interesting in and around the Big Ben.
Hey guys, my name is Danish and on center stage it's now time for some gaming. We're right beside the Big Ben. 60 seconds, let's see if people can answer questions about the World Cup.
But why are you going for first?
That's the nature of the game, Baba. Let's go. So what is your name?
Pete,
Pete, what does the Big Ben tell us?
Big Ben tells us the time and it brings out the chimes. It's the bell, it's not the clock.
That's right, so you have 1 minute. Pete, what can you do in a minute?
Do lots of things in a minute.
Can you solve this quiz in 1 minute?
I don't know.
Let's start. Your time starts now. You need to flip the book over. And your first question is spot the dusra. You need to match the following here.
What, spot the deucer?
Yeah.
Goodwin, Dominic Cork,
Okay?
Murray Goodwin,
Okay.
Dion Nash,
Yeah?
from Maduya, Ramasinger and Rajesh Chauhan.
Well done. Next. Flip, 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 flip. You have 1 minute. Not longer than that. Switch it. You need to get the names right. These are all jumbled up.
Oh, man. I'm no good at these.
Pete, don't repeat. Fast.
Josh Butler.
Great. Oh, come on. 1 minute.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I can't get it.
Flip the page over. Flip the page over. Flip the page over. Yo-yo test. Name 5 cricketers' wives.
No chance. Mrs. Cook, Mrs. Flintoff,
Go on.
Mrs. Butler,
Yeah. go
Mrs.
on.
Root,
Yeah.
and potential Mrs. Bairstow. Because he's not married
Perfect.
yet.
Okay, perfect. Next. Okay, let's get to the next one. Okay. Replay David Warner for us.
Oh, David Warner.
Yeah.
Bit of that.
Oh, great. Okay,
Yeah,
next. Okay, this is my roast session. I'm going to be throwing 3 words at you. World Cup, England. Make a song out of it.
World Cup of England. We are the champions.
Well done, Pete. Well done. Where's his gift?
Signed by yourself, I hope.
No. It's signed by Zahir Khan. Congratulations.
Okay, thanks very
Are
much.
you a Zahir Khan fan?
I love all cricketers, mate.
Any message for Zahir Khan?
Go well.
Bye. Give us the book back, bye. Yeah, thank you. Nice quote. Where did you buy it from?
This is my regimental colours. I'm in the army.
Good to meet you, sir.
Okay, all the best, buddy.
Thank you very much. Well done.
Well. I loved the way he just took on the players' wives, and especially when he threw in, watch out. What did he say about Bairstow?
I think, yeah.
Potential Mrs. Bear.
Potential Mrs. Bairstow.
Potential Mrs. Bairstow, yeah, it was interesting. And then, of course, right at the end, Danish was the one who got thrown when he said, I love the colours. Turned out it was army colours.
Yeah, interesting. And after that, I think Danish ran away very fast, just in case he changed his mind about whether he liked the interview or not.
But you can see there, the only song that they're thinking, We Are the Champions, it just shows that finally, I think it's a good time to have played this out, because all this time we've been saying 300 plus or not, they're not looking like champions. Today they bowl like champions.
They did. I think today, if they go on to win today, they would actually kind of stamp their authority as favourites in the tournament. Right now, I think the tag genuinely belongs to India with the way they've been playing. But I think if England have to come into that play, then they really have to have a good, convincing win today.
Yeah, I think that's what they really need. I mean, we can't take anything for granted here. They've done half the job. They need to do the second half, knowing that they've got a couple of little questions about Morgan and Jason Roy.
Also, if they have to become favourites, they have to do it as clinically as possible, irrespective of the injuries, because they believe that their quality of players are so good that anyone can do the job for them. So if they are contending to be favourites in the tournament, then they have to win convincingly.
Okay, just a quick update with Owen Morgan. It wasn't the finger or the knee, it was a back spasm. and it's been attended to. His period of not being able to bat is 28 minutes. So provided they don't lose early wickets, Morgan should pretty much bat at the position he is scheduled to bat at. So back spasm, 28 minutes for him. Jason Roy, number 7 or below.
So it's clear that England didn't do their warm-ups pretty well today.
I know.
Because if
One
it's a back spasm and a hammy thing, then they weren't warm enough. And that's generally that's what you can figure out from that.
Are you on the subject of warm-ups? Are you a fan of football before
Yeah, I
cricket?
don't mind it. As long as it's two-touch football and it's not like, all...
But when in India is it touch football? Some guy
No,
gets
it's always
serious.
touch football in
I
India.
know, but somebody will try and put out a leg and try and hit you. It always happens.
I can tell you one person who's very serious about his pre-match football. That's Carlos Brathwaite. I saw him in the CPL, and every time there was a pre-match football game, he would be like, if someone did something, or it was, it was all in fun, he would just sulk and go off.
Maybe you haven't seen Virat playing football then.
I haven't, to be honest.
You must watch Virat playing football. The same intensity that he plays cricket with, that's the intensity he plays
But that's
football.
what scares me. Because you're taking an unnecessary risk before a game. That's all.
No, as long as it's safe, as long as you're not wearing
How do you know
spikes.
as long as it's safe?
So
As long as somebody
as long
loses.
as you're not wearing spikes, as long as it's two-touch football. So when two-touch football is you receive it, that's one touch, and then the next one's a pass. So there's no way in hell that you can actually run around with the ball, right? Unless the ball's slightly ahead of you. And so that's
I've just
safe
seen
enough.
enough, too many stupid.
Like I wouldn't mind that compared to say Coco or something else, right? Or Kabaddi or something like that. As in
Who's the best footballer you've seen in your team for all the pre-match warm-ups? Is there anyone who's been serious talent?
MS Dhoni, Manish Pandey, really good guys, really good football players. Myself, I play pretty well as well.
There you go. That's good. No need to be modest about it if you think you're good at that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When you go down to play cricket in Kerala, make sure you focus on the cricket.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there are lots of football going on there.
There is, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, I'll keep
They
that
might
in
just
mind.
rope you in. Right, so we've just got the order of business, which is trying to get somebody to win the My 11 Circle Expert Couch, because this time around we were far off from it. 251 was the closest we needed to be for anyone to be seated on that. So what we'll do is for our post-show, we need to try and guess how quickly England will win this, or of course, if you feel that West Indies might win it. So Joy, you're up with this one.
I'm up again first. Okay. 37 overs.
37 overs. Think even quicker?
35 overs.
35 overs. Can it happen quicker? How much is it? 212, 6.5 runs and over? 33 I'll go. Can't go quicker than that, and it's not going to take any longer. So 33, 35, 37. Is that where we are?
That's where we are.
Perfect. That's where we are. So everyone in agreement that it should be an England victory. The West Indies will have other ideas. My Maroon Blazer will have other ideas, but I'm still sticking to that prediction. Cricbuzz Combox to assess where we are in the 15th over, and My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live at the end of it all.